Evolution cannot be stopped with the new GMX. All right, we've got the second wave of GMX support revealed in yesterday's stream. Let's take a look. I personally, what I'm expecting from these so far, I would say the GMX cards, even though they haven't really done anything competitively, I think are relatively close to being good, actually. And it might surprise you because I don't know how the community feels as a whole about GMX, but I personally think the first wave was actually not bad, even though they haven't really taken off yet. But I think the thing with GMX is that they're just a good, I think they're a good, like, what's the word? They're a good engine. They're not their own deck yet, but I think they are a good dinosaur engine, and there's just no good dinosaur deck at the moment. But with maybe the second wave, or maybe with future dinosaur support, I could see the GMX cards being solid, definitely, even with just the first wave. So let's see what we get. We have GMX partner Stilandea, which is a level 5 fire warrior. You can reveal this card in your hand, special summon a GMX monster or a dinosaur from your hand. Also, you can only attack directly with GMX monsters for the rest of this turn. If this card is special summoned by a monster effect, you can special summon a level 4 or lower GMX or dinosaur monster from your hand, grave, or banishment in defense position. You can only use each effect once per turn. Okay. Summons a level 4 or lower GMX or dinosaur from hand or grave or banishment. So it's potentially part of some like 2-card starter combos. It can summon itself to trigger its own effect, which is neat. Yeah. Locks you out of attacking directly with anything but GMX, but that lock's probably manageable. It triggers all the old GMX too. Yeah, it's like it's a really good card in like 2-card combos or for follow-up, right? Because if you like have this on a follow-up turn and you already have stuff in your grave or banishment, it's a really cool way to like extend or start to play on like turn 2. My issue with this is it falls into like a very weird niche in modern Yu-Gi-Oh where it's not a starter itself. It's mainly good for follow-up, or it's mainly good to enable like 2-card combos, which is typically not the greatest for modern Yu-Gi-Oh cards, right? Is GMX, Jokel, and Lantern in the same card? All right. Calm down. There's no way you just said that. There's no way you just compared this card to Jokel and Lantern in the same card. Come on, that's not fair. It's not that good. It's not a bad card, but come on, dude. Okay. GMX Suppression Squad, level 4 Wind Beast Warrior, so searchable by Tenki. If this card is in your hand and you control a GMX monster or dinosaur, special summon this card. You can target a face-up monster on the field, excavate the top cards of your deck until you excavate a dinosaur monster, send that dinosaur to the grave. If you do, the targeted monster becomes a dinosaur until the end phase or end of this turn. Also shuffle the rest into the deck. Don't use each effect once per turn. Oh, okay. This seems weak because it's a random foolish for a dinosaur, right? It's a random foolish for a dinosaur, which is probably not great. It would only be good. It would only be good in a scenario where you only play one specific dinosaur that you always want in your grave. So this card always guaranteed sends it to the graveyard. But there's other cards that can do that for you. I'm pretty sure Oviraptor can just do that. I think Oviraptor can add or send. So if there's a dinosaur you want in your graveyard, there's no reason you have to play this card. You can just normal summon Oviraptor. So, yeah. Just hit Misk and it's full combo. Yeah, but the Oviraptor can also do that. But better, right? And you can't play this plus Oviraptor together for that purpose, because then Oviraptor is a card you could hit with this, and then this does nothing, right? Unless there's one caveat here, which is if the fact that you turn something into a dinosaur matters. But I don't think it really does most of the time. And once again, if you need a dinosaur on the field, then you can just normal summon Oviraptor instead. So I'm not sure how I like this card. Then we have Evolved Danin. And this seems like the fusion version of the little guy they got last pack. Yeah, Return Dino Danin. plus a dinosaur monster. If this card is special summoned, you can add a GMX card from your deck to your hand. Okay, solid start. You know what? Solid start. You can only use this effect once per turn. If you excavate a card by a GMX card effect, you can activate the following effect based on where this card is at activation. But you can only use each effect once per turn. You gain 1500 life points if it's currently on the field, or if it's engraved, you special summon it. Okay. Oh, I think this classifies as a good card. Even without like the other things that are going on in this, I think this classifies as a good card because you summon it, you get a search that's already solid. Then if it hits the graveyard, it comes back for free. It comes back for free. So it's really resilient. It also does not get banished if it leaves the field, which is very good because its effect is on special summon, right? It's not on fusion summon. So if you can excavate on your opponent's turn, bring it back, you get another search. This card makes for a pretty cool grind game, right? You have like this monster that you summon on turn 1. You summon it on turn 1, you get your search, and then every future turn, if this is in your grave and you manage to excavate a card, bring it back and get a search, right? That's pretty neat, I would say. That's just a good card, and that also that feels like a game plan to me, right? That feels like a game plan to me because this card guarantees follow up every turn. It guarantees bodies. Like that seems like a really good card. So yeah, that's nice. Okay. More fusions. GMX Comprex, level 10 dinosaur, needs a GMX and 2 or more dinosaurs. Gains these effects based on the number of dinosaurs used as fusion material for this card. 3 or more cannot be targeted with card effects by the opponent. 4 or more can make 3 attacks. Okay. 5 or more, each time your opponent normal or specials a monster, they lose 800. Once per turn, if you excavate a card by a GMX card effect, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. Okay. Now this feels like something that I'm not sure the deck wants or necessarily needs. I mean, you know what? It needs something like this, but this is like a big payoff for if you're playing like a pure GMX deck, or if you actually want to finish the game with your GMX cards, right? Because so far the GMX cards, like I said earlier, I view them more as like an engine to get your other stuff rolling, right? Like, which is something like GMX for hire is something that I've experimented with, or you can just play like GMX and then just good stuff dinos or whatever. That's all possible. This is like a way to finish games with just the GMX cards themselves. And it is also an interruption because once again, GMX I think has ways to excavate cards on the opponent's turn, which is a solid interruption, right? Destroying all other monsters. So like I could see a world where you have like the Neen in the graveyard, you summon Comprex, and then on your opponent's turn you excavate with something, and then you pop everything. This comes back, searches follow up. You know, it's neat. It's neat. Reread Nona from wave 1. GMX Nona. GMX Associate Noma. If this card special summoned, you can target a card, place it. If a monster is Noma special summoned to your zone, fusion summon a GMX. So this fusion summons on your opponent's turn. Yeah, okay. And then you summon what? You summon like this guy. No, what was it? This one is quick effect to excavate. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, target one card your opponent controls, excavate the top card of your deck. Yeah, this one excavate on your opponent's turn as a quick effect. So that lets you trigger all your stuff on the opponent's turn. And this is a really easy way to summon all of your fusions because you get to shuffle the stuff from field, grave, or banishment. So you basically, the fact that this needs multiple monsters to reach maximum potential is less relevant then, because you can just shuffle a bunch of stuff back, which can even be an advantage because you can recycle all your stuff like from the extra deck as well. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's not like the craziest payoff we've seen, right? Like this card is for a boss monster standard, this card is just okay, right? Like these cards clearly have two different purposes, right? Like this one is supposed to be like your engine, your follow-up, your grind game. and this card is your boss monster, right? And this card, for what it's supposed to do, I think this card is really good, right? This is a really good engine slash grind game machine, right? This card is strong at what it's trying to do. This card is a boss monster, and I see that it does have some good applications, but it's definitely not like the greatest boss monster out there, right? One thing you missed about the Danin fusion is it's not a GMX monster, and that's important. Yes. Yeah, okay, but like, why is that a bad thing? Because it is still a dinosaur, so it can still function as a fusion material for this card. I guess. Yeah, no, I don't think it matters. The old 55 summons only GMX. Oh, that might actually be a problem. Hold up. GMX applied experiment. Oh, it does fusion summon a GMX monster. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. I mean, maybe they get new ways to fuse then if they get this fusion monster, but that is a little bit annoying. I mean, this thing performs a fusion summon, right? Yeah. So this thing, I guess the plan is you summon it with this. Yeah. Okay, but let's finish the cards first. GMX 55th Experiment Report. It's an ultra rare, by the way. Let me check the rarities. This is ultra rare. Nah, okay. Also ultra. A couple of ultra rares for GMX. Okay. Quick play spell card. Fusion summon a dinosaur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, or there you go. This can fusion summon the Danin. If your opponent controls a monster, you can also use a GMX in your deck. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Okay. Quick play though, that's powerful. Ketu GMX. It is kind of Ketu. It's like, it's good because it's a quick play as well, so you can set it, and on your opponent's turn, they're always gonna have a monster, right? During your main phase, you can banish this card from your. It's not as good as Ketu, but you know what I mean. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your grave, excavate the top cards of your deck until you excavate a GMX card, add that GMX card to your hand, also shuffle the rest into the deck. You can only use one effect per turn and only once that turn. Okay, so this card is really good for multiple reasons. You can use it on your opponent's turn to fuse, which is going to always allow you to use a monster from your deck. So it's basically like a quick play. It's a quick play like Lunalight fusion. Although the things that you're summoning with it are not as powerful as some of the things you're summoning with Lunalight fusion, but still, that's good. And also the follow-up here is actually quite impressive, because if you don't kill this deck, what this deck can do on the follow-up turn is just like banish this card from the grave, then you excavate, you get a GMX card guaranteed, right? You get the next GMX card in your deck, but then also, because you've now excavated a card with a GMX effect, this also comes back and searches another card. So the follow-up for this deck is going to be phenomenal, right? Like if you get all of your stuff in rotation, that's great. You're just going to get this card back for free and 2 GMX cards from your deck on your follow-up turn to just start playing without even using your normal summon or anything like that, right? So the follow-up here is not a problem. The question is, how strong are your interruptions, right? All right, but not actually a bad card here. GMX Lab number 5. Field spell card. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you normal or special summon a GMX monster. Ooh, is this like Branded Lost type shit? So does this mean when I summon, I can potentially like trigger all my effects without my opponent being able to trigger anything or respond to anything? Like I'll just like trigger this effect, destroy the entire board, and you can't do anything about it? Ooh, okay. During your main phase, you can set a GMX spell trap from your deck, except Lab 5, then place a card from your hand on top of the deck. You can only use this effect once per turn. Okay. All right. This card is okay. It's not the greatest starter in the world, because you do go -1 for it. You know, it doesn't just add a card from deck to hand, which is what a lot of modern field spells do. There is some scenarios in which the putting a card on top of the deck is going to be okay for you, because you're going to be able to manipulate what card you're going to excavate next. I think that's the idea here, right? I see the idea. But still, at the end of the day, as a pseudo starter here, it's not the greatest. It also it sets a GMX spell trap, which in this case, I mean, it means you can't Ash it, and it also doesn't play into Droll and Lockbird, but it also means that especially going second, that's going to hurt sometimes, I think, because you cannot access the quick play fusion spell with it, right? Like you can set the quick play for your opponent's turn, but you can't use it if you're like playing into a board, which is exactly the strength of this card, right? This card is really good going second, which is nice, but you can't access it with the field spell, which is unfortunate. Well, I mean, like I said, you can access it, but you can't use it if you access it going second. You can't use it immediately, which is a little annoying. You can set the other card, but searchers are always worse when you have less options, right? Because there's definitely going to be games where you already have the other fusion spell in your hand, and then you simply don't have a great target for this, as far as I can tell, right? Because that's the last spell here. So there's nothing. If you already have the applied experiment in hand or access to it, then this card, you're just not going to use it, right? You just activate it just for this effect, which is maybe still okay, but you're still basically playing down a card for the moment, right? Which is not ideal. So this card could have been better, but it's not a terrible card, but it doesn't strike me as like a 3-of, because it's just not a great starter, I think. And something like Branded Lost, which is probably the closest comparison to this, also usually didn't see play as a 3-of. But Branded Lost also just couldn't be a starter ever, and this card can be a starter, worst case. So maybe it's okay to play multiples, but it could also be like a searchable 1-of that you play if you can already play the game, right? So yeah. Okay, and then we have a trap card. Anti-GMX Final Experiment. Continuous Trap. Activate only if you control a GMX monster. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, except during the damage step, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. Then, if you excavated a GMX card, negate that activated effect. Also place all the excavated cards on top or bottom of the deck in any order. Ooh. Okay. So we have a monster negation once per turn, which is technically not bad, but we have to hit a GMX. Like, it's not even guaranteed. I mean, if you're playing a deck full of GMX cards, all right, in a world, I guess I don't hate it in some ways. Let me finish my thought here, because what this means is if you're playing a pure GMX deck, this is not really going to be an issue for you, right? Like, if you're just playing pure GMX, this card is going to hit like 90+% of the time, right? And I know there's ways to guarantee it. Like, there's definitely ways you can manipulate the top of your deck in this deck to make sure that you hit, sure. But I think for the most part, if you're playing a pure GMX deck, you don't have to worry about it, because if you play enough GMX cards, like 20 or so, if you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, you're like 90% sure to hit one or more, right? So like it's fine. And it does have the added benefit of not only do you negate the monster effect, but you also get to rearrange those cards. So you will just improve your other effects. You'll improve your next draw. You'll improve your next excavate, because you simply know what's going to happen there. And I think that's interesting, right? Maybe it's a little bit better than what I thought at first. Once again, it's a trap card, so at max it's going to be a 1-of. I don't know what it is with them, like, always trying to give every deck a trap card. I mean, I get it. Trap cards are part of the game, but like fundamentally, trap cards are usually just bad when you draw them, especially going second. And this is no exception to that. Like, if you're gonna have this card in your hand going second, it's gonna suck. If you set it up for free going first, then yeah, sure, it's all right. But the risk of drawing it going second always makes me cringe. But the card isn't terrible. The card is not terrible. It looks really cool though. It does look really cool. I mean, I like the aesthetic of the archetype for sure. Yeah. All right, and those are our 7 new GMX cards. In total, we have 2 new spells, 2 new fusions, and 2 new monsters, as well as 1 trap. My gut feeling is I am a little bit disappointed by the monsters. I think this card is pretty disappointing. I think this card is okay. Nothing too crazy though. Nothing I'm super excited for. It's a fine card. This, in my opinion, is the best card of the bunch, paired with the new fusion spell. I think those two are really good Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, these are the type of cards that you want for a deck to actually function, right? This is strong deck material, right? Like a quick play fusion that can use a monster from the deck, like that's good stuff. As well as an infinite grind game machine, that's also really good stuff. Like those are two really good cards. The boss monster is okay. Once again, nothing too crazy, but not terrible. Good payoff in like the end game sometimes. It's all right. The field spell, fine. And the trap, just by the nature of being a trap, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's just going to be a one of in the deck, maybe, that you're going to hate drawing going second, but going first, it's going to be fine. So it's all right. All things considered, I mean, it's not the next Mitsurugi, that's for sure. But I do think there's something to work with here. So I don't really understand. I've seen some people online really hating on the new cards and saying like GMX is completely useless. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I think the first wave already had a couple of really good cards. And I think the second wave also has a couple of really good cards. So I think there's a world where you play this. I think another thing that's just a problem for this deck is not that the cards are bad. It's just that they're kind of lacking a home for it. Like if there's a deck coming out at any point in the future that has a couple of dinosaurs in it that you want, I think it's going to be worth looking back at the GMX cards and maybe try if they can work together. Because I did that with GMX and Fur Hire, and that was not bad. That was synergistic. I didn't think it was good enough to bring to like YCS Dortmund or something, but it was not terrible, you know? It was not terrible. This alone isn't enough. This alone, I don't see how it consistently puts up strong enough boards, personally. If you play a pure GMX deck, like sure, you have infinite grind game from this card, which I think is phenomenal. But you also have to keep in mind you pay a lot of life points for GMX if you use your fusion, potentially, the fusion spell. You can gain some life points back with the Evolved Danin, sure, but still usually you're probably going to end up with less life points than what you start with. So getting OTK'd is a little bit easier with this deck. And I don't know if the interruptions that GMX has in its own archetype are going to be good enough, right? Like you have potentially a way to pop the entire board, but it's not that easy to set up. I think the other fusion monster has a way to pop a card on the field, and then we have like the monster, the somewhat situational monster negation. I don't know if that's enough to really hold up to modern Yu-Gi-Oh decks if you go first. And that's also like if you can pull all of that off, which I don't even know how easy that's going to be. Like that's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to do all of that. But yeah, I mean, of course, in typical Josh fashion, my favorite part about this deck or this new wave is this card because it provides amazing follow-up and grind game. That's what I really like when decks can specialize in that. So the question, I guess, if you want to make this deck work, in my opinion, is how can you build this deck in a way where the end board is strong enough so that you don't die, and then you just capitalize on the crazy follow-up that this card can provide. At the same time, follow-up is something that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks have these days, so if this is your only strength, it's not going to be enough, but remains to be seen. In general, I don't hate these cards. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool archetype. I think these cards are solid. Well, some of them are solid, some of them are disappointing, which is kind of what I've gotten used to with TCG exclusive archetypes at this point. I think a lot of them are really flavorful, and I like the design on these, so I'm looking forward to see if anyone can make anything happen with them. And I think it's a little bit unfortunate that the only way I can see them being used at the moment is as like a hybrid with other decks, because that's typically something I'm not a big fan of. I wish the deck was more viable on its own rather than just being like a combo enabler for other decks. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that too. Maybe it can actually hold up itself on its own. We'll see. But